Welcome to From the Stands, your one-stop shop podcast for insider access and in-depth interviews with your favorite Billiken coaches and players. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Billiken Podcast for the latest news on future episodes. Now, here is your host, Billiken Athletic Director, Chris May.
Welcome back, Billiken fans, to From the Stands, where we do our podcast here where we talk Billiken sports all day long. It's basketball season here at Chaffetz, and we've got Rebecca Tillett here. Rebecca is in her third year. We know all the accolades. We won the A10 championship. We won the WNIT, but now it's year 3, and now we have gone through preseason. So I know coaches love practice. I know coaches always get fired up. Christmas for coaches, I always say, is practice day. Okay, Rebecca, here we go. Year 3, we have a huge game that we're opening in San Diego, close to San Diego, South Dakota, on Monday. I can't wait to be there. But how do you, as you're building, every team's different, how do you build this team when you're going from preseason to now the games count? You guys have been practicing forever, right? Since June, the rules have changed. How do you prepare a team now to go play somebody else? What's the mindset? How do you do that?
Yeah, great question, Chris. I think for one, you start with where did we end? Who did we bring in new? How do we get that group of people to go together as a unit? And there's so many parts to that process. And as a teacher, as a coach, each day is figuring out, okay, what does the team need today? Where do we need to push more? Some of the things we wanted to get better at from last year, getting our defense better early, being in better shape early, all of those things have been focus points for this season. And, then you look at your leadership and where is the leadership on the team and what are they thinking about? What are they looking to get out of it? And I think our team couldn't be in better hands than Kennedy Calhoun, Peyton Kennedy, and Isabel Tillett leading the way.
So you've gone through with those goals. Share with Billiken fans, I'm always fascinated, what the Friday mornings in the fall looked like. And what we try to get out of those Friday mornings with your overarching goals of where you're trying to get to by Monday when we start playing for count.
Yeah. Toughness with the Marine Corps, 5 Friday mornings, 6 a.m. Really, there's so much to gain out of it. There's a fitness element. There's a camaraderie element. There's a toughness element. How do we figure out challenges together, both physically and mentally? And how do we push our mind to new limits? So we always say, and we once heard Peyton Kennedy retell this story to a recruit's family. We had been telling it to recruits' families as coaches. And then we heard Peyton tell it with no knowledge that we were telling the same story. And the story that we were telling is if we would tell our women before we got to wherever we meet, sometimes it's a field, sometimes it's a place on campus, to prepare for toughness with the Marine Corps. And if we told our women ahead of time, this is what you're about to accomplish, they would say, it's not possible. We cannot do that. Yet they do it every single time. And when they leave, they have their arms around each other and they're looking at each other like, can you believe we just did that? And that's the start to their weekend of recovery for the next week of intense training.
It goes to, as we talk all the time, you can't make practice too hard because inevitably they will rise to whatever that bar is, right? Absolutely. Okay, I have to ask, I've never asked you this before. How, being your Naval Academy days, is that when you started the toughness with the Marine Corps programming?
It is. So we actually saw so much of what the military leadership training was, what our women went through at the Naval Academy in a day. Sometimes our head coach would come in early to work and she'd see a woman running like 3 miles in the morning with her company, which was her other unit besides her basketball team. So when we were at Navy, our coaching staff did unit cohesion training, which was very similar to what we do with toughness with the Marine Corps. And then once I had my first opportunity to lead a team at the Division I level, I said, let's reach out to the Marines. And many people don't know that. You can reach out to the Marine Corps in any city and they will assist your organization in leadership at no cost.
What does that first day, toughness with the Marines, what does that first day look like for the newcomers?
We have a saying in the program, like, don't, scare the freshmen, right? Like, we always feel like we have to say to them, everybody's made it through, everybody's successful in it. But I think there are healthy nerves. We talk a lot in our program about healthy pressure. How you think about pressure often dictates how you respond to it. So there's healthy pressure leading into day one of Toughness with the Marine Corps, just like there's healthy pressure leading into the first practice or the first game. And how do we manage those emotions that come with healthy pressure?
You stole my question, okay? You stole my question for Monday. So how do you take that pressure that they learn through the summer, they learn through the fall, to 5:30 in Vermilion, South Dakota on Monday? How do you use that pressure so when now the lights turn on, they're prepared for a different level of pressure? How do you do that leading up to that first game?
I think so much of it is figuring out the pulse of that group. I shared with you, I thought our team was nervous leading into the exhibitions. And I've noticed that since I've gotten here, and that's okay. You have to figure out how to play with that. And I think our team figured it out in both exhibition games. So really, really glad that we had both those opportunities. And then I think it's just looking at, honing our focus in on what we're doing in that particular moment, right? If you think too far ahead in game, in any parts of life, but you got to stay present in that moment. Whatever happened at the beginning of the game, if we liked it or didn't like it, can't dictate what we're going to do next. We have to stay present in trying to think through each moment. And that's something about these teams and these women at St. Louis. They're so smart and they want to be so driven in the classroom. It translates to the court as well. And how do we figure things out together?
So we talk about values all the time. We talk about departmental values. We talk about team values. As you turn the heat up, and the heat gets turned up come Monday, right? How do you use those values, joy, love, collective responsibility, especially the joy part? How do you bring joy in the heat of the battle? That to me is one of the most ultimate challenges and beautiful things to see when it happens. How do you do that?
It really is. And I think it's central. One of the reasons we focus on that word, which of course we stole from Steve Kerr and the Warriors, right? One of the reasons we focus on it is because we have to stay present in that to really achieve at the highest levels. When the pressure is on the most and you remain rooted in joy, you have opportunities to achieve higher levels. Kennedy Calhoun's a great example. Anyone that's watched her play, if you see her smiling and jumping, we talk about playing through the whistle, teams that just keep playing and then the officials actually have to maybe give you a second whistle, it's stoppage of play right here. She just did it in our home exhibition and was running joyfully. We watched it on film as a team. That's when we're at our best. And, we take opportunities in film to show them the joyful moments so that hopefully we keep building on them and they want to get on the joy clips in film.
It's one of the most infectious parts of great teams. They all, and I spoke with somebody this morning at breakfast that I don't know of a great team that doesn't have that joy. At the highest level of sport, and Steve Kerr really communicated publicly, but I really appreciate, and as I think about your teams, the two teams that at the end of the season found joy. Now, apparently our focus is to have more joy early.
Yes, including the head coach in all the moments.
I love that idea. I love more joy. What should Billiken fans look for in this team? Each team's different. With different leadership, with some of the familiar parts, some with new parts. What should fans that turn on ESPN Plus on Monday, what should they look for and what should they anticipate?
Yeah, they should anticipate a group led by strong leaders and a lot of veterans. So there's a lot of people in the organization now that know how we all want to do it together. Yet there's 4 newcomers that are freshmen and then 2 transfers. All 4 freshmen have made an impact in the preseason, and we anticipate that to continue. So I think strong leadership and play from Peyton Kennedy, Kennedy Calhoun, Tiara Simon, Brooklyn Gray, they're all coming back hungry, ready to achieve again. And then you look at that freshman class with Shun and Hannah here from St. Louis, Mia and Rita, all ready to make an impact. So I think figuring things out as a unit will be part of our storyline early. This team's got the hunger. They've got the joy. They're really intent on learning and learn really quickly on film, which has been consistent on the teams we've had here. And those teams always have a chance to get better faster.
So we start with 2 tough road games to start. How does that help you prepare, and how does that help you prepare a team to be totally locked in all the time? Sometimes I feel like when teams start at home, it's a different setting and a different environment. You're going on 2 big-time road games before we come home. How do you prepare a team for that?
This is when I think we lean on the WNIT experience a little bit, right? 5 on the road, which was really, really good for us to figure things out in those moments. I think there's a little bit of, you go on the road to these big games and you're setting yourself for the course that you want to take, right? So you're saying right away, this team's veteran, this team's ready for an early challenge, let's go after it together. So I think framing it that way for our women, that let's go after this challenge and then we get to come home and celebrate what we figured out on the road. I think this team is not shy for challenges and is looking for them, and I think we'll be ready to rise to them.
What's head coach most looking forward to with this season?
Most looking forward to, I try to stay grounded in it's the teaching and the learning. That's really the most special pieces of it.
Like teaching? I never noticed.
love the moments of teaching. Love what the game can teach us every day, and try to impart that on our team and our staff, that if you're open to it, and the great players understand this better than anybody, better than coaches. The great players know that there's opportunities to learn every single day and that the game can teach you something. And so just for me, looking forward to all those moments with our women, with strategy. I'm still so, I love to tinker with things and figure out, see another team do something and figure out how we can counter it or how can we utilize that against somebody else.
Last question. Given a few new pieces to the team, any basketball strategy type things that people should be open to seeing that we might do different than not giving away our game plans,
yes.
But we might look a little different because of our personnel?
Yeah. I think we've relied heavily on Ken's ability to full court pressure. However, we have more people ready to do that now. And that's not giving away any strategy. People will see it right away. I think we've got some other women ready to mount that attack with her. And I think that's going to be really fun to watch this team do that.
And I think it's been fun seeing the newcomers and their skills, and several of them bringing totally different skills into the mix of a really talented, gifted team to start with. So that looks like fun. Any last words you want to the Billiken faithful before we get off and tip it off, and we'll do it again here in a few weeks. But any message to our Billiken fans for them to watch as we're on the road, and then to join us on, is it the 11th? Yes. November 11th, right here. Yeah.
Billiken fans, we need you. We need you to turn on ESPN. People watch those metrics and see how many people are watching women's sports. So help us in that area. Root from your living room, and then we'll see you all here against Illinois State. And we need you for that game.
There you have it, Billiken fans, with Rebecca Tillett here. We are fired up for basketball season, and we're going to tip it off on Monday. So until we do it again, go Bills!
Thanks for listening to From the Stands with Billiken Athletic Director Chris May. Subscribe to our podcast in the iTunes Store and have the latest episodes sent straight to your phone. Go Billikens!